Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And no, don't adjust your screens. It is me again, 2 nights on the trot. No, they are feeding me and they are watering me. You're absolutely fine. It's all good. No, we're back again for a Red Devils roundup Sunday evening. Looking back on a interesting performance, but a good win away at Arsenal in the FA Cup third round. On to the next round, and we'll have a little look at transfer rumours, and we'll have a little look at the next round FA Cup draw. So mainly FA Cup based this week, but as you can see, alongside me is a regular contributor and all-round brilliant voice to hear. It's Mark. Good evening, mate. How are you?
Good evening, mate. I'm good. I'm good. Can't complain.
No.
Apart from my game being called off this morning for my 18s. Sunday dinner, United win. Now we roll on to the podcast, so it's a good Sunday.
It is a good Sunday indeed. No, yeah, good result away from home in the FA Cup, as I said. 1-1 after full time and extra time. Dubious penalties missed by Arsenal and a red card on United's side, but who gives a shit? Through to the next round. What did you make of the? I'll start with the first half because that I tweeted at half time. That was dull. That was a really dull first half.
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing with the first half was who was going to be the next United player to be booked for just touching an Arsenal player.
Yeah,
because I know there's no VAR and they say the standard of refereeing's gone down, but that ref was appalling. Like. My other half is a Liverpool fan, and she was in agreement with some of them. Like Bruno getting booked for frustration. There was clear contact. Accidental or not, it's a yellow card. He's taking him out from behind. Absolutely. And then Mainu nutmegs someone, just rolls the ball 2 yards, and that's kicking the ball away. Or someone gets spun on the ball, and that's a yellow card. And you're like, he's barely touched him. You know, it was 12 against 10 in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a strange old game.
But I just feel like I want to say we grew into it. First half was quite boring, wasn't it? It was don't give them a corner. That's what it felt like. The idea was just don't concede set pieces. But we still had the only proper shot on goal was Mainu's, where the keeper actually had to make a proper save in that half. So it's boring. That's the only thing I'll say. The tactics are boring, but no one cares when you win.
No, couldn't agree more, mate. Could not agree more. Yeah, first half, dull, boring. Like you said, it was just a case of don't concede a corner, just crack on with it sort of thing. And yeah, and then before you know it, second half comes out. Much better start, I would say, in the second half. It wasn't perfect, but it was still a better performance. On the whole, the performance wasn't terrible.
But considering you say the second half we came out well, we only came out well for 15 minutes before Dalot decided to just be an absolute lunatic and smash someone, attempt to break their leg. Yeah. You know, that was a horrendous tackle.
We've got someone else coming in now. Evening, Jonathan.
Evening, gents.
Evening.
Yeah. We'll get your response in a moment. But Mark, go ahead. What was you saying?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, where we were at 60 minutes, we came out all guns firing. Dalot goes, and I'll tell you what, that's 2 games on the trot now where we've really stepped that level up. Instead of going the other way, we just worked so hard for each other out there. And I can't fault any player on that pitch. What I will say is, how do all those fans of Inanna who are going, oh, why have we dropped him? Why is he put around Bayern dip? Because he's tall and can catch the ball. You know, he made one mistake, yes, and it was a deflected goal where he probably should have punched it or caught it, and he sort of just skimmed him. But that's it. Everything in the air, I really did feel he was going to come for.
Yeah, really good point. Let's bring Jonathan straight in on that. So the performance from Bayern was strange because the last 30 minutes of the game, unbelievable, like different keeper to what we've seen him before. It's different before that, sort of not overly confident, but sort of grew into the game, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked a bit shaky, but I think that's to be expected. He hasn't played a lot of football in the last 18 months since he's joined, and the last game was a bit calamitous against Spurs in the League Cup. So I think it's understandable the team as a whole, and he started to get its confidence back a little bit last week at Anfield. So that was his first chance. And I think he definitely took it. And the good thing was he didn't start well and grow out of the game. He started poorly and grew into the game, which is always good, and it's good for momentum now going forward. And I'd like to see him stay in there now, because I think the bar has been set now. It's up to Onana, it's up his game, and that's the beauty of having two international goalkeepers there, is that they're there to drive each other on. There should be no guaranteed number one. I know it's nice to have a settled number one because it helps from a defensive standpoint, but the way we are at the minute, and it's so, what would you say, the word I'm looking for, disruptive at the minute. There's nothing very settled at Man United at the moment. I think we can afford to lay a marker down to our keepers and say, right, Bayern set the standard today. Andre, it's over to you now in whenever you get your next chance, because I think, isn't it Southampton I think we're playing next in the Premier League? I think Bayern definitely should be starting that one, because he earned it. He single-handedly got us into the next round. I know defensively overall we were good. De Ligt and Maguire were very, very good today as well. But in terms of actual contributing physically, I think Bayern single-handedly got us into the draw for the fourth round. So yeah, no, definitely I'd be starting him in the next game for sure.
Yeah, there was definitely elements of David De Gea could save the fucking Titanic about today, wouldn't there? About Bayern. Really good second half performance from him. Going on that, so like Jonathan said there, do you agree, Mark? Would you keep Bayern in for the Southampton game at home, or would you revert back to type and go, you've got a league keeper and a cup keeper?
So United over history has always had that league keeper, cup keeper. You think back, even when we talk about De Gea, we had a settled cup keeper. De Gea knew he was going to get games off, didn't they? It didn't matter who it was, but we had it for years. And it's only really since we brought Onana in that he was playing every game. You think last year, coming back from the African nations, when Bayern could have played, he's gone and got man of the match. And if you drop someone after a man of the match performance, was it man of the match, or was it just we're under the cosh and the keeper's always going to be the hero unless he concedes? You've got to play him. I think you've got to play him. I think Jonathan's right. He set the standard. I said in our chat about catching the ball. He's come out. He's caught the ball. Onana comes out. He punches someone in the face at Wolves. He's clattered into someone else. Yeah. He's about a foot smaller than him. Height is the difference. Most goalkeepers don't even get picked unless they're 6'3" plus as a professional goalkeeper. That's not Premier League. That's professional. So, he's taking it two hands. Absolutely. And Southampton, not exactly a great team. Then we go to Rangers. Do you give Onana a case, or do you just let him have a run of games? Onana
it's Rangers at home, isn't it? We've got 3 home games on the spin now, haven't we?
Yeah,
so we've got Southampton, Rangers, and then I think it's West Ham or Villa, one of the two. Could be wrong.
I think it's West Ham. I think it's
Brighton.
Brighton, that's it.
Yeah, sorry, Jonathan, you're right.
And then it's West Ham, isn't it, after that?
West Ham away.
But then again, the back three are settled. I think that's pretty much set in stone now. So
was you surprised by the team selection by both sides today? Because we both sides went pretty full strength.
No, I wasn't. I don't know if Jonathan was, but I wasn't. It's Man United, it's Arsenal. He's definitely learning the history of the club and the history between the teams. Bayern, for me, like I say, was a logical problem. You conceded 2 goals from set pieces, curled straight in over the top of the goalkeeper, and they're the strongest set piece team in the league. So it was the only change that needed to be made. But yeah, I don't know what John thinks. What do you reckon?
Yeah, go for it, Jonathan.
Yeah, no, I agree with Mark. I wasn't surprised to see both teams go full strength. I think if Arsenal were kind of closer to Liverpool and looked a little bit more confident in the title race this year, they might have rotated a little bit more. But I think Arteta is starting to realise that was one of his best chances to claim a trophy. So that's another opportunity gone for them. I don't think they're going to come near Liverpool this year, unfortunately. But no, I wasn't surprised to see, especially United, the way we are at the minute. We're desperate for wins, so I don't think he could have afforded. And in terms of actual squad numbers and quality, I don't think we have the players there to really rotate at the minute. So no, I wasn't. So I thought maybe Euro might start because he had such an impressive appearance last week at Anfield. But the guys that were picked warranted their selection. So no, I wasn't really surprised.
Who would you vote Euro in for? Martinez?
Probably Martinez, but then again, I suppose you're looking at a very unbalanced back three then as well because of the nature of the whole left-footed, right-footed thing. So, yeah, I think all three weren't to start there today. But beforehand, I probably would have brought Euro in because I think he needs to start getting minutes now. I know he had an injury and they've been very careful with that, and rightly so, looking back at the history at the club with injuries and centre-backs. But I'd like to see him get a few games now and kind of start developing again because I don't want to see him stunted. But like that, when the back three are playing that well, it's very hard to get players in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was. Let's talk Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, his goal was excellent, really well taken finish.
Superb.
Yeah. Obviously, the mistake by Gabriel, sort of giving it straight to, I think it was Garnacho, wasn't it, on that side, giving the opportunity for the run. It was a very well taken goal, wasn't it, Jonathan?
Oh yeah, it was Bruno of old, just confident, composed, keeping his head about him. I actually think since Bruno's gotten the captain's armband, he's got more headstrong. He's getting more erratic. Things seem to rush to his head a bit more. I used to think he was a bit more composed without the captain's armband, and I kind of think it might be a decision that Ruben Amorim has to make in the summer. Is he captain material, or is it like it was with Harry Maguire? Is it burdening him a little bit? But yeah, that was the Bruno of old today. Just confident, and it's what we want to see from him more consistently. Just cut out the complaining, the giving out. Just focus on your game, and that's what you're capable of doing. I know it can be frustrating, and it's frustrating for fans, but just concentrate on your football, and that's what you're able to do. He's one of our best players on his day. There's no debate about that. He just needs to find that consistency again. And yeah, he was one of the players that stepped up today, and hopefully he carries that forward because he was very good at Anfield last week as well.
Yeah, Mark, what do you think?
I think his finish was world class. He's not a striker, and that side foot finish on half volley bouncing up at him was so composed. And when you see it from behind the ball, it's such a good finish. We said about Rasmus, that one he scored in Europe where he sort of lifts it over the defender and curls it in the corner. It was very similar when you watch it. All you saw, the defender had to get his hand out the way and it just curled straight in that far corner. It was lovely. Ironically, how similar what the bounce was to Harry Maguire's one at the end of the last Liverpool game. It was like here's what could have been against Liverpool. But yeah, echoing what Jonathan said, it seems like he's been reined in. I don't know what you think, but although he's sort of playing a 10/8 role, he does seem to be jumping between the two. But he's certainly not getting ahead of the striker. He's not going out wide. He's not chasing the ball around and shouting at people as much. So I suppose as other people understand their roles, as a captain, you've just got to do your own and lead by example. The last two games, I would say he's done that for probably the first time wearing that armband. But the other person who is not captain anymore, Harry Maguire, is putting in captain performance after captain performance. And today, I couldn't have loved him more because I thought he was going to kill the bloke.
Let's go straight. Before we come straight to that, actually, let's go in timeline order. So, obviously, then we conceded the goal. Fair concede goal, really. It was just a mistake in the area. Gabriel obviously gets the deflection and scores the goal.
It was going straight at the keeper. It was going straight. You could see he was set down, ready to go for it, one knee down. And it just, I didn't really see who it clipped, but it clearly clipped someone, either Maguire or Martinez. And went in that bottom corner. He was set, he couldn't move, and that happened.
And then we had just Dalot being unaware, inexperienced in that position, already on a yellow card. Jonathan, I mean, the first yellow card was warranted, second yellow card was warranted, but as a player, as experienced in that position as Dalot, that was just stupidity today.
Yeah, 100%. He's another player that can kind of tend to get his emotions get the better of him because he's not an inexperienced player anymore. He's 25 years of age. He's a Portuguese international. He's been playing there for a number of years now. He had one of his best seasons. He had his best season as a Man United player last season. So I mean, he needs to start, focus a bit more. I know it's very easy to say that when you're in the heat of battle against one of your biggest rivals, the blood can tend to rush your head, but that could have let his team down today. If Arsenal were more clinical, more ruthless, they could have won that game quite comfortably there today, because it was a long period to play with 10 men and such a high intensity game. So look, he has a bit of habit of those sort of decisions, but his decision making overall this season defensively has been poor. He's been very, very poor. And I feel from a little bit in the sense that he has to play every single game because of our lack of fullbacks. Mazraoui coming into summer was fantastic. He's been one of our best players, but him coming in and Wan-Bissaka going out at the same time was kind of counterproductive in my opinion, because you were still, it was one right back in, one right back out, and you were just limiting your ability to rotate full back. And in this system now, you're playing wing backs, they need more energy, and it's probably just getting to a point now where Dallow's playing so much games, the fatigue is hitting him, and when fatigue hits, stupid decisions inevitably follow, and he got sent off today. Look, we'll quickly forget about that as fans because of the result, but it is something that he needs to be aware of and look at going forward. But like that, he needs competition. We need a proper left back in there. I think it would be the making of Dallow, to be honest.
Yeah. What do you think on the back of that, Mark?
I hold my hands up. I think Dallow is an absolutely terrible defender. I think he's great going forward. Don't get me wrong. Last season, I've always said if I could put Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Dallow together, I think you get a world-class right back. Because, but you can tell it was always, if we were playing Arsenal, Liverpool, Wan-Bissaka starts because you can't get past him. Dallow has always been liable for a mistake. He's made multiple mistakes this year. At the start of the season under Ten Hag, he was, how many times did you see him? Sorry, lads. Sorry. As a goal went in, it was his mistake. But what I will say is, I think the manager's going to have to take some of this on the chin for the sending off.
Go on.
Well, what position did Dallow start the game? And what position did he start the second half? He started at left back. He swapped him at half time to right back. 15 minutes later, he smashed someone and gone off. Right. So was there a change in tactics? We need to close them down, and a miscontrol. Like you said, loss of head. It's normally because of your bad touch and you think, shit, I need to get there. And he didn't. He was never going to get there. He should have just held his ground and let him have the ball and set. But the manager swapped him over there. So that should have been Mazraoui. But that's probably one of the first times I've seen Dallow really miscontrol the ball like that. He's actually got a really good first touch. Like I say, because he's good going forward. But I think he knows he's on his way out the club. I think Mazraoui's the right-sided wing-back or defensive player for that side. And I think if we bring in a left-sided player, when you've been linked with one, whether it falls through, you know you're not playing. The penny has to drop. Hang on, where am I going to play? Am I going to get Mazraoui out of the team? Well, no, they've just bought him. So if they're looking for a left-sided wing-back, that's not me. Where am I playing? Well, But Dallow has done this all season, most seasons. He's quite often close to a red card. I've seen a few times he's been taken off after a yellow because he grabs people, he pulls them back, and it's Bruno's the same. Most Portuguese players are the same. They get very touch tight, holding, and they dive in. They dive in and try and almost make you jump. Not to actually get the ball, it's almost to make you not come inside on your right, push you further out on your left, so you're sliding, cutting their path. But yeah, Dallow, for me, I'd rather have him on the bench. Well, we'll find out. Someone's got to come in for him now.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Does the ban now include FA Cup, or is that just the Carabao and the
No, it's a League Cup, isn't it? So that's he'll be banned for the Southampton game.
Right, okay, that's fine then.
Unless they've changed the rules again. I get confused because we had something last year, didn't we, where someone got sent off in the cup and then wasn't banned for the league game or something.
Not sure, to be honest.
But I think that's a straight red.
Could be 2 yellows. Yeah. So let's move on to the penalty decision. Obviously, it was a penalty decision that didn't come to anything anyway. But the penalty decision led up to what we all thought was United v Arsenal of old, just absolutely going at it.
Carnage.
In the penalty, just carnage for a good few minutes, and it really did bring us all back. But Jonathan, the penalty decision in the first place, I think so many pundits and so many people on Twitter are saying that is not a penalty. And if VAR was in play today, that would have got overruled.
But see, this is my question. Why isn't VAR in play? Because at the end of the day, it's the same sport. It's just a different competition. It's been played at the Emirates. It's not like they have the excuse if it's in a non-league ground that hasn't got the camera facilities. It's in
That
one
is
of
the excuse.
yeah.
That is the excuse. The
I think
Tamworth against Tottenham.
the main issue is that they wanted to have it. They did it on the first year. They did it in some games, and then everyone was like, "Well, if you're not doing it, if you're doing it in some games, shouldn't you be doing all games?" And then they tried it where they had it in some games, and it just became ridiculous to the point where it was like, right, we're just not going to do it until the fifth round. So what? So now you're saying that if certain teams make it to the fifth round, you're then going to pay out for the equipment.
Exactly that. If Tamworth had made it to the fifth round, gets a home tie,
they
still can't have VAR.
But go on, Jonathan. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just think it's crazy. Like you said there, I mean, if Coventry had played Manchester United last year in an earlier round, there's no VAR, so Man United go out, they're not the FA Cup holders. It just doesn't make sense to me. Either you have a rule for a competition or you don't have it, and today could have proved decisive. I mean, it's a disgraceful decision, but like ultimately, like the referee overall was absolutely horrendous. We're all agreeing that, and then there's pundits and former players like it was a shocking performance overall. But like, look, it was a clamber of legs. He has got to make a decision in the moment like that. I can see what he might have thought it was a penalty, but looking back on the replays that VAR would have seen and should have seen, it was ridiculously nowhere near close to a penalty. I mean, Havertz just kicks Maguire's ankle as he's on the way down already. Maguire's even pulling out. You can see his hands going up. He's pulling his feet out of there. It's nowhere near a penalty. I think the biggest debate here is like, why isn't VAR in place? It's there to help the sport supposedly, but it's okay to have it for one competition in one country and then not have it in the same country for a different competition. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, like, while the referee's overall performance was disgraceful today and that call was disgraceful, I'd be more annoyed at the fact that VAR is going to be in place later on in this competition, but it wasn't in place today and it could have cost us. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. It's either there or it isn't.
Yeah. Mark, thoughts?
You can't really change anything that Jonathan's just said there. It is stupid. I'd rather not have it all the way through, maybe until you hit Wembley then. And then you've got the same ground for both semi-finals and finals, so you can introduce it. But if, for instance, like I say, Tamworth, Tottenham, extra time, Tamworth score an offside goal and they go through because there's no VAR. And then they go through again and then they get fifth round and you can't put VAR in their ground. So we're going to say, oh, well, because of the teams that have made it this far, we can't add VAR in again. And, you know, where you've got to draw a line. So I think it's more cost. I think it's FA not wanting to spend the money, setting it up at every ground. But the penalty, it's a blatant dive. It is. He touched me and I've gone down. There's one way you say about the legs. It isn't. It's as soon as the hand sort of touched him in the chest, it was as if he electric shocked him and he fell to the floor. But I don't care. I really don't care. I care more about the inputting his head to Ugarte and things like that. I care more about I was watching Ruud van Nistelrooy and Martin Keown all over again, those sort of things. Like, that fight, that's what I care about. We're here to win. We're here to stand up and be a team together. I've been preaching it the last couple of weeks, haven't I, about it's not about how good you are, it's whether you can be a good, solid team together. You fight, you want to be on that pitch, and you give everything. And I'm sorry, but sometimes a bit of a punch-up is you giving everything. It's a stupid way to show it, you know, because you're going to cost your team. But those fans there, they would have lived every second of it. Every second. Watching that. I know I didn't, you know, watching the game back myself.
Yeah, it was a blast from the past, seeing Maguire absolutely slaughtering them and Ugarte getting his head in there and them going down. That was just...
He actually got flattened by Ahmad, I think, or Garnacho, one of the smallest players who pushed him off.
Yeah, it was pretty good to watch. Yeah, obviously them not really. I mean, then Arsenal were just pelting balls here, there, and everywhere to try and get it in the net. And obviously, like we've said, Bayern a man of the match performance today, and the penalty save was just unbelievable.
He claws it out. Do you see his hand movement in the slow motion? He actually, it's almost beat him. He just didn't give up.
Yeah, but not a great penalty from Odegaard, but Buendia knew exactly where he was going, and I think that's why Odegaard changed his routine actually in the shootout. So not much more than that. Obviously, we had a few chances to go ahead in normal time. Nothing too crazy, but the penalty shootout itself. A mate of mine was saying, I said early in the game when he asked me for a prediction, I said United on pens, and his words were, "If it goes to pens, United aren't beating us."
No, I thought pens all day. All day we would win it, but I generally thought we'd beat them in 90 minutes. But the ref had something to say about that. So,
But what I said is United on pens or Arsenal second half 3 goals, because I couldn't call it in the first half because it was so dull and nothing was happening. It was just like there is no way of knowing how this is going to go. So obviously the penalties themselves were very, very good, and Buendia again making the save in penalty shootout as well, Jonathan.
Yeah, I know that's the thing. Not only just to save one penalty to keep you in the game, but then to actually save the penalty that ultimately won us the penalty shootout. Like you said, there were good pens, and it was a good pen he saved in the shootout. To be fair to him, it wasn't a gimme, but it was like Marc touched on. I think it was the size of his frame that actually saved that pen, because it was going into the corner, and you kind of question whether Onana would have saved it. Onana isn't a bad penalty stopper, but I think that was one that only Bayern there would have saved, to be fair to him, and his confidence was obviously sky high at that moment. And fair play to him. I think I seen a stat there. It was the first player since 2013-14 season to actually save a penalty in an FA Cup tie in real time and in a penalty shootout. So it doesn't happen too often. So fair play to him.
Yeah, Mark, thoughts?
Both penalty saves, superb. The second one was even better because that was hit harder and it was just inside the post. His whole hand was there. He read it, and his frame. Onana, he saved a couple of penalties for us. It's weird. We've gone from De Gea not saving a penalty for something like 10 years to keepers who actually are saving penalties whichever shootout they're in. So that's got to be a plus. All our penalties, they were superbly taken. Euros was taken like a striker, like whipped, side netting. Even Alan Shearer, you could hear in his voice, was like, "That's a good penalty." Like that. Yeah. It was just so. Yeah, what can you say? It's a shootout. It's 50-50. You score or you miss. The keeper gets a chance. Arnald's pulled it off. He made the save.
Just looking at some of the quotes, and I was smiling there because I was looking at some of the quotes from Arteta. And he is just a whiny little bitch, and he's just.
So he complained about the ball again.
Oh, yeah.
This one had goal bits on it for us because we were champions. So I thought that was quite sad, personally.
Arteta shocked that incredible Arsenal didn't beat Man United. Interesting. We missed from various ways from different players. I understand, guys, that point of view, but I cannot love our players more. Oh, that makes me ill. And we very much focus on our players, and we have to perform at the highest level. The rest is not in our hands, not in my hands. Incredible how you don't win that game. That's basically how to sum it up. The dominance, superiority in relation to the opposition. Everything we did to try and win the game, we didn't deserve it. We didn't get what we deserved, but there's an element of just putting the ball in the back of the net. We did it once with the amount of situations, chances and penalties that we had. We didn't. We go home extremely sad, but I cannot be more proud. Superiority and dominance.
Against 10 men.
Against 10 men for
an hour.
Yeah. Red card was 61st minute. So, yeah. An entire hour. So that's how deluded that man is.
He said something also about Man United. There's something special starting to happen at Manchester. So he has given some praise in our way as well. I saw that sort of quote come up. It's on a YouTube video or something from his speech.
Yeah.
For post-match, actual to the press, not just the one where he does it to BBC, but the press one. He says something like Man United are cooking something special, or it's like what? Just because he's a different formation to the Premier League, no one else has ever played before. That sort of thing.
Yeah, Amarin said, felt today was our day, especially in the first half. We played better than in the first game. We were better in the set pieces today, more aggressive. We showed spirit, even with 10 men. The sending off was really hard on us. There were some opportunities from Arsenal. The players were really tired. But I felt since the first minute today was our day, and I felt a connection with our fans. Goes on to say that Xerxes was a game changer. I think we can all agree on that. He was brilliant when he came on, really made a difference in going forward. Hoyland, again, we seem to have this reoccurring conversation about Hoyland, that he has a couple of really good moments and really good games where you think, right, he's going to get some form together, and then he sort of disappears. And today was sort of one of those games where he had a bit of a disappearing act, right? Mark?
Yeah, he's 20. He's 21, though. He's it's just going to be that inconsistency at that age. It's very few players. Even Ronaldo at that age at Man United, he only really broke in when he was just about turning 22 and really kicked off. I'm not comparing him to Ronaldo for a second. I'm just saying that it does take time. And
Please do, because we'll clip it.
but yeah, look, I mean, he's been part of a very upset dressing room as well. To be fair, not only has it been an unsettled team, it's been an unsettled formation. I think the players are still learning. I think I think they need to find a certain style of play that suits him, because he's not a ball to feet striker. He's definitely a player that has a lot of power and pace. So they need to figure out how to stretch teams and get him in behind running again. I just hope he doesn't end up like another Marcus Rashford, because Rashford used to struggle a lot when teams played that low block, and Jose Mourinho highlighted that on Sky Sport before. If there isn't space in behind, then Marcus will struggle. And I think I don't want Hoyland to become one of those strikers where if teams just sit in a low block, which is the case most of the time against Manchester United, that he's going to struggle. He's going to have to find a way himself. But I think likewise the team is going to have to find a way, and the manager is going to have to find a way as well to get the best out of him.
Yeah. Mark, your thoughts on Xerxes today? Obviously, and Amarin goes in to say it was a really important day for all the players. Your life as a footballer has cycles and moments, and sometimes your life can change. At Tottenham, people were pointing the finger at Altay, and today he was our hero. Josh had a small problem with the fans when he was subbed off before half-time recently, and then today he has the last penalty. Life is like that. Your time will come.
I don't think he could have put it any better, Amarin. That is what football is about. It's whether you have the balls to stand up and say, give it to me, give it to me. You know, I've missed, give it to me again. Andy Cole, you know, the guy who missed so many chances, but every time, give me the ball, I'll score. Give me the ball, I'll score. Xerxes, he got to be. He's come out and said he wants to stay. Apparently, today, I don't know how much truth there is basically in any media regarding the United story, but he's shown it. He's come on the pitch. I thought he was absolutely terrorising them with his footwork. At some point, I think he nutmegged one of the same players twice and played the ball through. He's going to be in the same boat as Rasmus. We get the ball to a number 9 and we have no one running in behind him. Right? So it gets slowed down. Then we go wide. We slowly build up the pitch. And then there's no one around him in the middle on his own to take any defenders away from him. So he's man-marked and then someone clearing up. You can't score like that. It's literally, it would have to be the perfect ball every time. And Xerxes the same. He's give it to my feet. I'll play someone in. But he's more happy to be an assist. So I think he wants to get him to play in the 10 role. I generally do. And I wouldn't mind him in the 10 role. Because Rasmus wouldn't have to come back and win the headers. Because he only drops deep because of the long kicking we're doing at the moment, which I can't really get my head around why he stopped that. It's almost saying that we're not capable to play the ball out from the back. But that's both goalkeepers doing it. Although Bindia was trying his hardest not to today, bless him.
Yeah, and most of the time when I noticed that he didn't do it, it was working. And me and Stu have spoke about this on a podcast before. That game where we beat City, or we were dominating City for the majority of the game, and we were just launching long balls at the pitch, and you had Pep Guardiola screaming on the side of the pitch saying, they can't do that, they have to play like this. No, we were just winding you up by kicking the ball long and it actually working and getting us opportunities and scoring from them. It was absolutely howling at Guardiola that we were just reverting to type, going, right, let's just get the ball up long and do it. And I think that's what Brian Deere sort of took on board today. Like, he just sort of thought, if I know that playing out for the back's not going to get us anything, I'm just going to ignore my instructions and boot it. And that really worked today, I think, Jonathan.
Yeah, for sure. It's a horses for courses situation. I mean, every team will start out with a game plan, but we discussed this. I think it was on last week's show in relation to Tottenham and not having a plan B. I think
Yeah.
it's crucial that you have a plan B, especially in a league as elite as the Premier League when you're playing top level coaches like well previously like Klopp and like Guardiola. I mean, you've just got to have a plan B, and because plan A just isn't going to work all the time, teams are going to figure you out. And especially at the moment, Man United, we don't have that full squad of players that we need to play that game that Amram wants to play out from the back, high pressing. So there's some games that's going to work, and there's some games that it's not. And it's good to see that the players have that in-game intelligence to go, well, this isn't working. I'm not going to keep doing it and then risk making a mistake that's going to make me look bad and ultimately cost the team. I'm going to take it into my own hands. And I like to see that leadership on the field. And that was what Amram was mentioning last week in his press conference. We're starved for leaders, and that's a form of leadership.
Yeah.
It's fuck this. I'm not going to keep playing it out from the back. It's not working. I'm just going to go over every single player on the field. And it worked well today, like you said.
Yeah, really well. Before we move on, obviously, we're going to talk transfer rumours in a second, and we'll have a little look at the next round draw. But Amarim was asked in his post match about has Rashford played his last game for Man United. This was his response. I don't know. We will see. He's a player for Man United. We'll see. He has to work and represent his club, and he loves his club, but I have to make choices. Already I've spoken about how I have to make choices. Let's continue, see the next game, and I have to make a selection. Now, Mark, you've been very outspoken on Rashford's situation on previous shows. Hearing that today, what are your thoughts?
I think if you write that down and put like some special code underneath it, it says yes. It just comes out and clearly says yes. That was I listened to it live afterwards, and I was just laughing. Pretty much probably why you were saying it. It's just like that is such a good answer. He's controlled the media there. Gone. Don't ask me again about Rashford. I pick a player based on how they're training. He's just come out and said Garnacho's trained really well and he's starting today in his pre-match press conference. So what he's saying is he ain't trying. He wants out. If he doesn't want to try, he's not going to play. That is as clear as that. Do I think he'll go? No.
There's no reason
for
him
you
to
now,
go.
Before we go on to anything else, a club will want him. We will want to sell him. Then we'll go wages, and then we'll go, well, that's collapsed.
Yeah.
Because he's still going to want his 350 if we sell him, and United don't want to pay 350 if they loan him. And this is a bit most football fans forget about when they read about transfers.
They're going to want their money.
They want their money, and it doesn't matter if the two clubs want to buy and sell. The player has a say in it, and the agent has a say in it. So we keep getting linked to people we want, and they want to sell them. Doesn't mean they want to come to us. We said that about Lenny Yoro. How shocked were we that he came to us? He's like, United might put in the money and want him. If he wants Real Madrid, he's not coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Rashford's done. I'm sorry. Is that 6 games? 5, 6 games now?
Yeah, something like that. It's early December when he last played, I'm sure. Whenever that meeting was, that interview since with Henry Winter, he hasn't played since.
You mean when he got a cold? Let's say that's what Amron said. He got a cold. He
was ill. Yeah. So
yeah.
What do you think, Jonathan? Are we going along with the fact that we're not going to see Rashford in a United shirt again, or would you be surprised if that's the case?
Probably not. I'm extremely disappointed at this situation because it's completely septic to the club now at this point, because all you're seeing on Twitter is he's been linked to Barcelona, he's been linked to Dortmund, he's been linked to some top clubs in Europe, and all you're seeing is tweets of, oh, see, I told you, this is how good he is, Barcelona want him, but Man United fans think he's shit. There's no Man United fans who've ever said Marcus Rashford is shit. And if they have, they're not proper Man United fans. The problem with Marcus Rashford the last 18 months to 2 years has been application. He's supposed to be the homegrown boy, the guy that led by example. We all know indirectly now, he was the one who turned down the captaincy that time when Ollie offered it out into the change room. He turned it down. What boyhood Manchester United fan would turn down the captaincy? You might take it and you might regret it, but you do not turn it down if you're a Manchester lad born and bred. Now you're looking at the situation. You mentioned it there, Nathan. Amron came out and said Garnacho has been training really well. He got his start today. If Rashford wants to be at that club, burst your bollocks and earn your spot in that team. He has the ability to be in that team. He should be one of our best players. He is on his day up there with Bruno Fernandes as one of our best players. But he just can't be arsed now. He wants out of the club. I think he regrets signing that contract extension. He was probably falsely led as well at the same time. I think the club probably told him that they were going to go out and get Harry Kane, ultimately didn't. And another promise was broke. So I think that was on the Glazers as well. But in saying that, this is a new start now under Ineos. Ineos have made mistakes, we all know that, but it's a more promising future now. It's a more football-oriented club now, and hopefully the future looks bright with someone like Amram, who really is showing positive signs. He's challenged Marcus, he's come in, and Marcus has said, no, I'm not having that challenge. I want a new challenge. Like, it's sickening at this point now, and I agree with Mark. He probably won't go in January because I don't see how he gets out in January. But I just want him gone now because, like this, I'm sick of looking at every press conference and post-match. Marcus Rashford this, Marcus Rashford that. He's a player that's just ultimately broken the Fergie rule. He's gotten too big for the club and he needs shifting and moving on now. And if he moves, whether it be now or in the summer, I wish him all the best. I don't wish him any ill. But I'm just sick of this conversation about Marcus Rashford. Manchester United is more important to me than Marcus Rashford. And I wish him all the best and I just hope he moves on as soon as possible.
Just on the Barcelona thing,
Go on.
he's going to go to a Barcelona team that is currently 5-2 up against Real Madrid, so they must really need him.
Yeah, that game's not what it used to be, is it?
No.
Yeah, ridiculous.
But Barcelona smashed them last time they played them as well.
Yeah.
On Rashford, so there was comments last night or yesterday at some point from Zlatan Ibrahimovic, senior advisor at AC Milan, as we know, former player at our club. There's been several links to AC Milan for Rashford, and this is what Zlatan had to say. I know Rashford very well. I played with him when he was young, not that young. Now he's grown up and has done great things with Man United. I don't think I need to convince him because Milan are one of the biggest clubs in the world and everyone wants to come here. As of today, it's not an easy operation, but we have not spoken to him yet. We'll see if we will speak to him. That is the sort of club I could imagine Rashford going to and flourishing.
Yeah.
So if that flourishes and happens, again, it's going to come down to wages, whether they're going to pay his wages. If it's a case that we loan him there and we pay 70% of his wages until the summer and then they take all of it, that's up to them. I
can't see Maldini wanting him. So Maldini's the technical director or he's something very similar. AC Milan's got a weird setup, obviously having Zlatan, obviously as a voice for the club. Paolo Maldini's in there. Brace, I think he took over from Brazy. They keep their players in there and they have their player standards. Similar to exactly the same as Manchester United used to. I said to my other half, I could see him saying, "Oh yeah, Inter Milan, AC Milan, I'll take Beckham's 23 shirt." I could see him wanting to do that, because of the link from ex-United player going to Milan. But I don't see him putting that shirt on. I see Napoli. I see him going to Napoli with Scott McTominay, but I do not see him going to AC Milan.
Yeah, could see that. In other news away from Marcus Rashford, well, actually, very quickly, there was tenuous links linking him to West Ham this week. But, yeah, whatever.
That's his level for this season. It's his level.
A really good story this week though is that Amad Diallo's obviously signed a contract extension, keeping him in the club for a couple of more years, or 3 or 4 more years, or whatever it was. Can't remember now. But that's obviously really good news, Jonathan. That he's securing his long-term future with us, considering the performance he's been putting in this year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's up there with a contender for player of the season. It kind of begs the question as to why he wasn't. He started, I think, the first couple of games of the season, and Ten Hag just seemed to go sour on him, and he didn't really have another chance until Ruud came back in as an interim. So it was a bit of a strange season for him, but there's no doubt he's been our best player since Amram came in, and look, he's shown the potential that we saw in all those clips and YouTube videos when we actually signed him as an unknown 18-year-old from Atlanta. So, look, I'm delighted for the guy because he had a very poor loan, probably not in his control at Rangers initially, but then had a really good loan at Sunderland and got very unlucky by getting injured in pre-season. It kind of damaged his most of his season last year until that famous against the Scousers on St. Patrick's Day. So, yeah, look, I'm delighted for him, and it's good for the club now. We've protected one of our biggest assets, because I think that could be a really good piece of business there now. Like, I think people like to point out we bought him for 37 million. We bought him for about 17 million. Like, if we end up paying 37 million pound for Amad Diallo, then the club will have benefited, because I think there's a clause in there for winning the Premier League. So we'll have done well out of Amad Diallo if we end up paying 37.
It's another Martial, isn't it? Ballon d'Or.
Exactly. The Ballon d'Or, yeah, Ballon d'Or.
Things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, even if we end up selling them in 2 or 3 years' time, we're definitely going to end up selling them for more than 17 or even 35 odd million quid, I think. So yeah, look, it's a good piece of business by the club, and I think he's only going to get better. He's only 22, and he looks like he's really fitting in with this system that Amorim has in place. So that's a plus as well. So yeah, look, it's a positive for the club in a season when we haven't had much positives.
Yeah, and I'll ask you, Mark. Still rumours surrounding Garnacho. There's still a lot of talk surrounding Mainu. There was rumours in the middle of the week that Mainu is likely to be leaving, but they sort of got quashed pretty quickly. But it's not ideal to be hearing stories like that around your sort of 3-star academy players in Rashford, Mainu and Garnacho.
I generally don't understand where the press gets some of these stories from. Whoever's leaking this is probably added way too many and like sent a story out at midnight after downing 12 bottles of wine or something like that, because Amorim's come out and pretty much talked about Mainu in his press conference before the game, saying about, someone asked him about Ugarte and Mainu, how great they were against Liverpool. And I think we can agree that was the best midfield performance we've seen all season. I thought they were solid again today. And he's basically saying he's nowhere near the finished article. He's got so much more to learn. So he's saying he's doing great and we want to keep him. We're not going to sell our best players with that kind of potential, which is hand in hand with giving Amad a contract, right? So that's 2 players. Garnacho, I think he's on a warning. I think there may have been some truth in his brother being the leaker.
Right.
That sort of story's disappeared. And when a story disappears, means that someone's got hold of it, paid off the people who actually know the information, or, done some kind of retraction of, that's not true, we're going to sue you, or we're going to keep you quiet. Because it's normally one or the other. It's a shame we haven't got Stu tonight, because he probably will know exactly how that disappeared. Rashford, it's Rashford, isn't it? It's like he's meant to be our highest paid, so therefore highest value to sell player, total profit, FFP, PSR, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
One day we're in trouble, the next day we can spend 500 million. It depends who you listen to, what paper you pick up, what website you go on. I'm not a fan of transfers. I'll wait till someone's name's revealed. Manchester United have signed, contract signed. Then we've gone for a player. Because I could link this to loads, and most of them aren't going to happen, are they?
Well, yeah, on that, Jonathan, obviously, the one player that is set for a medical, or if you read it, is set for a medical, and that is Leon, Diego Leon, on his way to Manchester today for a medical ahead of a completed his move from Cerro Porteño. The deal for the 17-year-old left-back is believed being worth around 7 million, including various performance-related add-ons. But he'll go back to Paraguay and then join United in the summer. I don't know much about him, but
I know a little bit about him. From what I looked into him, so he's not an out-and-out left-back,
right?
Because obviously we wouldn't be signing him. We don't play left backs. But he has played left back, left wing, left forward. Basically, plays anywhere down the side. He's been touted to being a young, not as fast Frimpong. If you look at Frimpong, he plays all the way down that side and can finish as well.
Right.
And apparently he's 2-footed. So although he plays left back, he's got a right foot as well. I thought we were bringing him in to play in the under-18/21s. I thought he was coming in for like that. And if that is true, we need to loan him out fast, because we've already killed a couple of youngsters' careers by not giving them strong enough loans, or we sell them, i.e. Fernandes, to come back from Benfica, with the buyback clause.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to go straight back to Paraguay, play there for the rest of the season, because it might be that his team's in the Club World Cup. That I could be wrong.
I don't think he can sign for a club in the UK because of Brexit. They can't sign players under 18 anymore, and he doesn't turn 18 until March, April, I think.
Yeah.
So legally he can't move to the UK and work. So I think they had to wait till the summer, but I don't think it's any harm. I don't think it would have done him any good coming to the UK in the middle of a season when United aren't doing particularly well and, been thrown in there, whatever. I don't think he would have been thrown in there, but I think it'll do him good just to have that 6 months, finish up with his club and come in, have a fresh pre-season and hopefully do as well as he can. Just on what Marc was mentioning there about loans, I think one player I'm very disappointed not to see get a loan so far, but it doesn't look like he's going to, is Harry Amass, because I think he's a guy that's got buckets of potential. He had such a good pre-season. We're so lacking on the left-hand side. I'm not saying we should just throw a left-footed left back in there at 17 and screw him completely. But we need to be looking at loans. Like Chelsea do it so well. They just loan out all these high potential players. And a lot of them don't ever get near the Chelsea team. But this is how they can comply with PSR. They add value. And if we got Harry Amass out on a couple of loans, he might not never play for Manchester United, but you could get his value up around 18, 20 million. It's pure profit. And this is what we need to get better at. Like this young Paraguayan kid coming in, if he might not never play for Manchester, we could decide in the summer, right? We'll have a look at him pre-season, then send him on loan to the Championship. He's a really good couple of seasons, and I was like, you know what? We're actually just going to send him on. We got a good bit here, 25 million. That's pure profit. And we just need to get cuter. We need to get better. We need to join the 21st century. Man City do it as well. I mean, just look at Cole Palmer and the pure profit they made out of him. So we just need to. We need to get cuter with this, and from a football department point of view, and that's why I hope we do ultimately replace Dan Ashworth with another sporting director, because I think this is what they need to be looking at.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And on that as well, we should actually mention and praise a little bit Toby Collier today. Really, when he came on, he was really impressive and really held the ball out well. And yeah, real star player for me today, actually.
Fellow hometown boy. He live in the same town as he was born. I think you say about Amass going out. Wheatley, I think I'm not a fan of the 21/23s. I talk about our own club because we have 23s in county league, Isthmian clubs. It's a no-go. You can only have 4 adult players. It doesn't serve any purpose to the first team after they got rid of the reserves. So now, with the 7-day rule, if you play for the 21s, you can't play for the first team in 7 days. You have on day 8, you become eligible. Well, our 21s are doing well. Our 18s are doing well. You don't want to pull these players out of playing in the 19 Youth Cup, Champions League, or whatever it's referred to as. They're doing well in that. So Amass has been shining there. Wheatley's been shining there. But yeah, I'd rather loan them. 18s, great. You went undefeated. You won the league. You scored all these goals. Go and play in Div 2. Go play for Crewe or someone like that. Or, we've always done it. We go back to the class of 92 and you look at their loans before they ever made it. They're always the same teams in the same leagues. And that seems to have disappeared. There's still clubs in the Premier League who do it, with the exception of Man City just manipulating their rules and owning about 500 clubs and sharing teams around. That's what we need, because you can't tell me Wheatley shouldn't have been played more games this season when we're struggling to score goals. He's got a shout. You can't say that Amass couldn't have done a better job on the left when Dallow's been having a shocker, because what could he have done anymore? He would have been protected because he's 17. And the reason you can say that is because Collier's come in, because Mainoo's come in, because Garnacho, they've all done it. You can't do anything if you don't get given a chance.
Mm-hmm. No,
but now we're signing young players. We're signing Euro. We're signing Diego Leon. We're signing the Arsenal kiddie, Obi, and giving them these big contracts. So the players in between that need to see something, or we're just throwing money down the drain. Like you said, we need 10 million is 10 million. You know, when we're scratching our heads for getting Rashford out the door for 35 or something like that.
If we're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, let's have a little look at the next round ties. So FA Cup fourth round in full. Obviously, we were drawn out the hat first, straight off the bat. Manchester United at home to Leicester City. Return of Rude. That will be good. Looking forward to that.
That's got to be a Christmas cracker joke or quiz question at some point. What manager beat a club 3 times in one season, joined him, and probably beats Man United, knocks them out of the cup? Do you know what I mean? It's almost written, but that's going to happen.
That's got FA Cup trivia all over it if that happens. Yeah. Yeah. For me, when it came out of the hat, not really worried about it. It'll be a nice story, of course, having Rude come back after everything he did for us as a player and as a coach and as a manager. So, yeah, it will just be a good occasion. And I said, to be fair, before we played today, I'm not bothered. If we went out today, it wouldn't bother me. If we won today, I was pleased. But yeah. I've sort of I'm not written off the season, but I'm not expecting massive amounts this season. I'm just along for the ride and enjoying it. So, few sort of mediocre ties: Leeds versus Millwall or Dagenham. I think Millwall play tomorrow night. All Premier League affair again is Brighton v Chelsea. Brighton at home. You got Preston or Charlton playing Wickham. You got Exeter City at home to Nottingham Forest, so that would be a good tie for Exeter. Coventry City play Ipswich. Blackburn v Wolves. Mansfield or Wigan will play Premier League Fulham. Then you've got Birmingham City will play Premier League Newcastle. And then this is where obviously the balls were a bit heated up. You've got Plymouth Argyle at home to Liverpool. You've got Leyton Orient or Derby v Manchester City. Another Premier League all affair: Everton v Bournemouth, Villa v Tottenham, Southampton or Swansea v Burnley, although that's probably not. Yeah, so it's Southampton v. Oh, fucking lost it now. One moment. Bear with. There we are. Southampton v Burnley. Then, Leyton Orient or Derby v Man City at Orient or Derby. Doncaster v Palace and Stoke v Cardiff. A lot of Premier League ties in there, which is a shame. But it's what it is. That's the nature of the cup.
No real bangers though, is there? Like our game today or anything. Nothing really stands out. They're not going to be fighting. I've got to have this game on BBC One.
Well, the likelihood is the games that will be chosen for TV are United, Leicester, Plymouth, Bournemouth, Villa, Tottenham, and probably Leyton Orient v City, or Leyton Orient or Derby v Man City. Mm-hmm. Whereas I personally would like to see Exeter v Forest on telly because that would be good for Exeter.
Yeah.
Plymouth v Liverpool, that's probably going to be on telly because obviously it's strugglers in the Championship. If
only Rooney could have held out a little bit longer.
Winless in 10 and then to beat Brentford away at Brentford. Excuse me.
It wasn't really a Brentford team though, was it? To be honest, that was a much rotated team.
Yeah, it was. It was massively. And then but Brian Mbeumo came on around the 63rd minute, so you would have imagined he would have scored. But strange one. So not really any massively jumping out. Should still be an interesting next round. You've got Millwall tomorrow at home to Dagenham and Redbridge. Find out who they get, and then before you know it, chaps, we're straight back into the Premier League. Mm-hmm. Like we've already said, Thursday night we've got Southampton at home. Thoughts on that very quickly before we wrap up, Mark?
They've got a manager now, haven't they? Have they appointed someone, or they're still without?
Yeah, they've appointed a manager. He hasn't really done anything to change anything there at the minute.
No, that's why I was unsure. I was like, I'm not hearing or seeing anything different. I think we've got a kick on.
Lost 5-0 at home to Brentford in the last previous Premier League game. Lost 2-1 away to Palace. Lost 1-0 at home to West Ham. Drew 0-0 away to Fulham. And lost 2-1 to Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. So this was their first win today in 6.
Yeah.
In the cup.
we've got to kick on. I've always said we've took the mickey out of Liverpool for years, right? Before, when Klopp was coming in, he was beating City, he was beating Arsenal, was beating us, and then they'd lose to the bottom of the league. That's why they weren't winning the title. That was what seemed to be what's happening. I don't want to be that team. I don't want to be going. We've taken. Well, it's not points, but we've now won at the 3 top grounds. Liverpool, City, Arsenal, but we're still losing to teams like Bournemouth, Southampton. So yeah, we've got to go out, and we need to. If teams are putting 5 past Southampton, we've got to do it. I think it's as simple as that. We've got to go out and start scoring some goals. I don't care who scores them. I don't care what it is, but we've got to bash down the door.
Yeah, Jonathan, your thoughts?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk the last week about mentality, and Bruno was saying this is a standard we've got to keep. It's not the likes of today or last week that your mentality is tested. It's against the likes of Southampton on a Thursday night in the Premier League, who are sitting on 6 points after 20 odd games.
Mm-hmm.
If Man United bring the intensity they brought last week at Anfield and the day at the Emirates, they will win, and they will win comfortably on Thursday night. They have got to keep this. It's all about mentality. Thursday has got nothing to do with ability. We know Man United are far better than, and particularly this Southampton team. It's a championship team in the Premier League. It is. It's one of the worst Premier League teams I've ever seen. It's all about mentality, and if they can keep that rootless mentality, that intensive running up, they will easily put 3 or 4 and hopefully 5 past Southampton on Thursday night. But this will be the big test now of that mentality shift. If we see a shock result on Thursday, then this team will have come nowhere, and today and last week would have been for nothing, in my opinion.
I think it's a big test for Amron because you said it earlier, Nathan, like City attack us, Liverpool attack us, Arsenal attack us. Southampton are going to sit in 10 men behind the ball.
And you would like to think that this 3-4-3 formation that he wants to play is going to benefit having a team sitting back.
It is if that front 3 actually you don't play 10s and they are 3 and they can get in between the centre backs and then the passes come from midfield. But if we're still going to have
with hopefully
4-2-1 and leaving one guy in the box, you're not going to create because the crosses are going to come in, but they're already going to be back. So this is I will really want to see how Amron approaches this, because a team that sits in against you is so much harder. Literally playing all 10 behind the ball, and Southampton have to do that. They've been doing it all season.
Yeah, it's likely that, like we said earlier in previous shows, the plan B and plan C sort of thing. If your plan A is to sit back and soak up pressure and not having the ball in your possession and then kicking on with counter-attacks, hopefully plan B is, if you're going against teams that are going to do exactly what you just said, sit back, wait for us to make the mistake, similar to what Arsenal did today with us. Like, we sat back and waited for them to make a mistake so we could pounce, similar sort of thing. So we're hoping that Southampton are going to sit back, wait for us to make a mistake, then pounce. Yeah. Like I say, hopefully that will be the case of we're just going to be able to, if we can have a decent amount of possession and creation, I don't see us losing, but drawing, there's just no way of knowing what side is going to turn up at home at the moment.
It's damaging. The draw is still damaging to our morale. Like Jonathan's just said, mentality. You've got to go out now, and we've had all our losses for the season, so everything's a win. You've got to go out and win. When you were starting to take points off the higher teams, you've got no excuse not to beat the lesser teams. Upsets happen. You lose 2-1, you lose 1-0. The ref screws you over, which is our favourite thing to happen to United. But, we've got to create chances and we've got to score some goals.
Yeah, played 20, won 6, drawn 5, lost 9, 23 points on the board, 11 points off City in 6th. Or we may meet them coming the other way, to be fair. We don't know what they're going to be like.
It's a tight league. It's
an interesting league. There's a lot of traffic between us and the top 4. Not that I'm aiming for top 4. Like I said earlier, I'm just enjoying the ride at the minute and just seeing. I'm not writing it off, but it doesn't matter to me.
Are we all wanting a big push for the Europa?
I couldn't care less about the Europa.
No, I don't care at this point now. I think
it's the only way we're going to get Champions League, is what I mean. That's financial towards the club.
Yeah, no, I still couldn't care less.
You just want to get the team playing and.
Yeah, I'd rather just less injuries, just finish the season on like a steady scale. If we finish top 10, I'll be happy. but I'm not bothered about winning the Europa League. If we win a cup, if we win the FA Cup, obviously blinding, but I'm not bothered if we don't have a year in Europe next year.
Mm-hmm.
And
but that's the point. It's 2, so it's a 25% cut to your Adidas sponsorship, which impacts bringing in players.
If Adidas don't want to sponsor us, there are so many other sponsors that will be lining up for a sponsorship with the biggest club in the world.
Mm-hmm. True.
Adidas will be the one missing out, not Man United. In my opinion, Ineos have got a very, as much as we berate Ineos for some of their financial decisions, they will have a queue of already associated businessmen and sponsorship deals with their own company that will want to get involved. And with the British Cycling and with Dave Brailsford, he'll have the same list of sponsorship deals that will be waiting to be made if that sort of thing does happen.
Bring back the Umbro, the winning days of the Umbro kits.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going down that route, we might as well use the same balls that Arsenal used in the Carabao Cup and blame them as well.
Those balls are terrible. We use them at our club with Puma sponsors.
Very quickly
they are horrendous. They are
very quickly on that.
Beach balls.
Yeah, Arsenal had reportedly only 24 hours training with that ball.
Well,
that's on them partly, but also because the fixtures didn't help because they played a game in the Premier League, so they were training with the Premier League ball, and then they changed for 2 training sessions, I think it was, with the Carabao Cup ball. But to blame that's pathetic. So Arteta has not had a great week this week.
No.
So good for them. I'm glad.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, well done. Carry on, please.
Absolutely. No, really good work tonight, guys. Everyone watching on Twitter, 68 people watching on Twitter, according to my stats. Really good. But yeah, while you're here, jump over to our Twitter account, jump over to our YouTube, hit like, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss another show. Show's coming out, or show's just gone. We had a great show last night, Talk of the League show. We had guests on from the Paddock Blues podcast, Evertonian Jay, and we had We Are West Ham podcast contributor and owner, James Jones, who was brilliant. Really good show, so go back and check that out. We'll have another Talk of the League this week. We've got Future of Football returning in February. We'll have the new Balls Through chat room coming soon. That is just a show where we just have no script, no agenda, nothing at all. We just talk absolute shite for an hour. And that is going to be brilliant. Bring a beer, bring a coffee, bring whatever you want. We're just going to have fun with that show. And then, next Sunday, obviously we've got a game midweek, so there won't be a preview or a review, but we'll have a Sunday show next Sunday on the back of Brighton at home as well. So we'll probably have 2 games to talk about next Sunday.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mark, Jonathan, really appreciate your time tonight, guys, and everyone watching. Really thank you for watching, and we will see you again soon.
See you later.